welcome back to Channel 666 Red News. Tonight's breaking story, a young Japanese girl mother awakes from a coma of 6 years. The now 22-year-old Japanese girl poisoned her mother when she was 16 with a great amount of thallium, or rat poison. This girl, whose name has not been revealed, says that she is fascinated by Graham Young, the famous teacup poisoner. The Japanese girl recorded her mother's symptoms in an online journal, the way Graham Young recorded his victims in his handwritten journal. This girl was on the elite chemistry at her high school, and she tested her so-called experiments on animals. A cat head was found in her bedroom. She just claimed to enjoy the idea of poisoning living things. She is an exact replica of Graham Young. Now we go to my co-anchor, Joak, with more of Graham Young.
Thank you, Kyle. Yes, Graham Young was the famous teacup poisoner. He experimented with his poisons his whole life. Graham was born in Needhamson, North London on September 7, 1947. Growing up, he was a normal boy until he turned the age 12. He read non-stop about murdering people with poison, basically. Ones where the victims were poisoned so badly that they died from it. He was obsessed with Adolf Hitler and started wearing a swastika badge to his school every day. The only classes he ever excelled in were poisons, chemistry, and toxicology. By the age of 13, he knew so much about poisons that he convinced local chemists in his town to sell him large quantities of antimony, arsenic, digitalis, and thallium for his so-called school experiments. Graham began testing his poisons on his friend in school when they traded lunch every day. He poisoned his homemade school lunch, and when he gave it to his friend fell ill. His friend began suffering from vomiting, cramps, headaches, and the doctors said they were due to severe migraines. His friend eventually recovered. However, the following year, Graham's entire family fell ill, except for Graham. At 14 at the time, the reports state that Graham made his family tea, but when they drank the tea, they stated it tasted bitter. But his family couldn't find a reason for their loving son to poison them. On April 21st, 1962, when Graham's father came home to find his wife vomiting uncontrollably in the backyard as Graham watched from the family window, he rushed his wife to the hospital. She died later that night. Graham's father was then hospitalized for the same symptoms his wife had. On May 23rd, 1962, Graham was arrested and confessed to poisoning his family and his only high school friend. At age 14, Graham, became the youngest prisoner in Broadmoor Maximum Security Psychiatric Hospital in London. He was there to serve 15 years from the age 14 to the age of 29. Within days of his arrival at the prison, his inmate John died of cyanide poisoning. Eventually, Graham decided that 15 years was too long of a time to spend in prison. He decided he wanted to get out early. He dropped all interest in poison, and after 8 years he was released on good behavior. In June of 1970, a year before his release, he told a nurse there that he said, "I'm going to kill one person for every year I spend in this place." On February 4th, 1971, he was released. Shortly after his release, he was hired at a photography company in Bovingdon, Hertfordshire. Within days of employment, he started making tea for his fellow employees. His boss, Bob Eggle, suffered the worst from severe cramps, vomiting, and diarrhea. He was also hospitalized, but then died 10 days later from what doctors stated was pneumonia. By November, he had poisoned up to 70 employees at the photography company and recorded all their symptoms in his journal and whether they would die or not. November 21st, 1971, Graham was arrested and sentenced to jail for life. At the trial, he was asked if he felt any remorse for all of his victims. He stated, "No, that would be hypocritical. What I feel is the emptiness of my soul." But don't fear, for Graham died in Packhurst Prison in 1990 at the age of 42. Now to our toxicologist, Marianne Paulin, with info on these poisons that Graham used.
Kyle and Joe. Well, Graham used a ton of different poisons, including cyanide, arsenic, digitalis, thallium, and antimony. Now, not many people know what this stuff is, but don't worry, I'm going to explain all of these for you. To begin with, cyanide is just a deadly poison not found in any foods or drinks and is obtained from the combination of carbon and nitrogen. Next we have arsenic, which is found naturally in rocks and soil, water and plants, and even animals. It has no taste or smell and causes cancer, but is used in things to prevent decay. For example, it's a common ingredient in pesticides. Digitalis is used for heart medication to prevent heart failure, and the plant in which it is obtained from has extremely poisonous leaves. Antimony is used in paints, batteries, and rubber, and is a pure element, atomic number 51. It is used to clean up environmental problems. Lastly, Graham's favorite, thallium, is an odorless and a bluish-white metal, and it is obtained as a byproduct from smelting other metals. Thallium is commonly used in rat poison, and its effects on the human body can be severe, such as vomiting, diarrhea, and hair loss. Almost all of Graham's victims suffered from symptoms of extreme vomiting or diarrhea, most likely caused by thallium, his favorite poison. For Channel 666 Red News, I'm Mary Ann, and have a good night.
The now 22-year-old Japanese girl poisoned her mother when she was 16 with a great amount of thallium, or rat poison. This girl, whose name has not been revealed, says that she is fascinated by Graham Young, the famous teacup prisoner. She was 16 with a great amount of thallium.